5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening. Welcome to the June 14th remote school committee meeting. We will actually, let me have first call to order. Tom?
Here.
Carla?
Here.
Aaron?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Sarah?
Here.
And Chuck is here. We will begin this meeting in executive session, expected to return into open session at 7 p.m. Can you give a motion?
Sure. I move to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, and that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Tom?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Carla?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Chuck? Aye. Thank you. See you over there. So we're waiting on Sean.
Yeah, before we go live, did we get the invite out to Laura Noonan for this?
I can look at it really quickly.
I don't see her on the others invited list.
Do you want me to send her a quick? I can send her a quick message and ask her.
Actually, it would be Jeff or Jeff would need to send this link to her.
Yeah.
Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, he is. Jeff? Can you send him the email, Sarah?
I'm doing it right now.
Is anybody else seeing people who are talking still connecting? Or is that just me? I'm still seeing John and Tom as connecting, but I've heard them both talk, so.
I'm here.
I just got bumped out, Sean.
All right, I'm gonna bail and come right back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Aaron's not in yet.
You can send it to her CPAC. I'm typing it in right now. And also see if I can find her personal. Hang on, I have her personal email right here too. Hold on.
Just got a message from Aaron.
Yeah, I'm typing with her right now.
Aaron needs a new link.
She just needs to use the right one, I think.
Okay, I'd like to call the June 14th school committee meeting back to order. Aaron,
Here.
Carla,
Here.
John,
Here.
Sarah,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
and Chuck is here. Tonight, we will have public comment via the chat function. And we'll, as previously met, we'll answer items that are not on the agenda at the end of the meeting. And if it's something pertaining to an agenda item, we'll weave you in as we can. Tonight's agenda will have the consent agenda, reports. We will then have our staff recognition. And CPAC presentation, budget transfers, and the first reading of our green vehicle policy. And then we'll end the meeting with a spring update from Dr. Doherty. So is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second.
Any comments? Tom?
Just one quick question, and I have a feeling it might just be in process of validation, but we also received the second ref related donation email. And is that something that's scheduled for next Monday since it's not on our consent agenda for today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, John.
Okay, seeing no other discussion, Aaron?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Carla?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
And Chuck, aye. Okay, so we'll go, John, are there any staff reports other than the presentations?
There are not, Chuck.
Okay, so we'll have, do you know if we've been, a new, student representative has been assigned yet?
Nope, not yet.
So we'll have committee reports. Aaron, do you have anything?
Not so much a report, but I wanted to make sure people were aware that there's a second presentation, CPAC presentation on reading tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I believe the link to that was sent out by all principals, so family members should look for that in their email. We also put it on the school committee Facebook page. Thank you, Tom, for doing that.
I also sent it out through ConnectEd this afternoon.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, do you have anything?
No reports tonight. Thanks, Chuck.
Carla?
No report. Thanks, Chuck.
Tom?
No report. Aaron covered it.
And Sean?
Just a quick preview that the audit committee will be meeting on Wednesday to review the town side audit. So if anything interesting happens there, we will report back next week.
Thank you. And I do not have a report. So at this time, I'd like to do the teacher and staff appreciation. Dr. Doherty.
Sure. So thank you. What we're doing this year is the virtual version of the teacher and staff recognition. As you have in your memo, each year we do recognize staff for certain milestones in their career in the Reading Public Schools. For our teachers, once they reach professional teaching status, which is 3 years, a full service, they would receive professional teacher status, and so we recognize them this evening. We also recognize all staff who have reached 10 years of service, 20 years of service, 30 years, or 35. We also are recognizing our retirees this evening. What staff do receive, if they reach professional status, they get a certificate. The milestones receive a pin, and the retirees receive a glass apple, I believe, as part of their retirement gift. So what I wanted to do this evening is recognize all of those. So we're gonna go through these. I also want to thank the principals for sending me some sentences and paragraphs about our retirees. So first of all, our food service. This is the milestones at 10 years of service. Maureen Franny Passatempo, Joanne Fuscioni with 20 years of service, Brenda Hobart with 20 years of service, and Charlene McManus with 20 years of service. So congratulations to our food service staff for reaching those milestones.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
At Reading Memorial High School, we have several milestones. Anne-Marie Corey, 10 years. Jen DeKoff, 10 years. Michelle Hopkinson, 10 years. Patricia DeBabna, 20 years. Sue Gilbert, 20 years. Nancy Irons, 20 years. Shelley Lynch, 20 years. Steve McCarthy, 20 years. Jane Shea, 20 years. And Lisa Thomas, 20 years. Congratulations to those staff, a combination of teachers and paraeducators.
Yes, thank you.
Those staff that have reached professional teacher status at the high school: Lisa Johnson, Stephanie Waite, Laura Gablinski, Melanie Herman, Stephen DePietro, Sarah Downey, and Angela Bosco. Congratulations to those teachers who have now reached professional teaching status.
Thank you.
At Coolidge Middle School, the following have reached milestones. Michelle Garand and Susan Menard, who are paraprofessionals, have reached 10 years. Ashley Nagel has reached 10 years. Laura Vance has reached 10 years. Paul Gadetti, Tara Herlihy, both teachers have reached 20 years. And Margaret Wass and Catherine West have reached 20 years as paraprofessionals. So congratulations to the Coolidge staff who have reached milestones.
Thank you.
And those, we have 2 teachers that have reached professional status at Coolidge, Shannon Turner and Roisin Munson.
Thank you.
At Barrows, Colleen DeRosa and Sarah Lanzo have each reached 20 years as elementary teachers in the Reading Public Schools. So congratulations to them.
Thank you.
At Birch Meadow, Patrick McCracken and Kelly Saracen have each reached 10 years as teachers at the Birch Meadow Elementary School.
Thank you.
Erin Gibson, Ariel Mucha, Sean Keogh have all reached professional teaching status at Birch Meadow. So congratulations to them.
And thank you.
And at Joshua Eaton, Lauren Fusco, 35 years. Congratulations to Lauren. And Mary Johnson, 30 years. Congratulations to Mary for reaching those 2 significant milestones.
Yes, thank you.
And then professional status, Carolyn Moss, school psychologist, and Miriam Lewis, grade 4 teacher, have reached professional status.
Thank you.
At the, at the Killam Elementary School, Danielle Snow has reached 10 years, and Michelle Goldner has reached 20 years.
Thank you.
And Melissa Kanata has reached her professional teacher status.
Thank you.
At Parker Middle School, milestones, Lauren Iannici and Kim Peterson have reached the 10-year milestone. Diane Finnegan, the secretary at Parker, 20-year milestone. Jennifer Gray and Bill McIndoe, Jennifer Gray has reached 20 years, and Bill McIndoe, 30 years. Congratulations to all of those teachers.
And thank you.
And reaching professional teacher status, Ann Ozanian, Hannah Mulkern, and Christopher McKay. Congratulations to those teachers for reaching professional teacher status.
And thank you.
At Wood End, Allison Ackerbloom and Melanie Watt have reached 10 years of service at their in their profession.
And thank you.
And Caitlin Rubin, the speech and language pathologist, has reached professional teacher status.
Thank you.
And in the Rise Preschool, Eileen Wilkes has reached 10 years as a paraeducator. Linda Boyages and Jackie Mulrain have reached 20 years.
Thank you.
And Erin Joyce, congratulations to Erin, who has received professional teacher status at Rise.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to shift to the retirements, and I have little blurbs to read. So the first one is Laurie Abelson at Wood End. So Laurie Abelson has been teaching for 24 years and is ready for her next adventure. We wish her all the best as she builds a new home and does some traveling. And I know she will certainly be missed in all the support she has provided to our students as a reading specialist. Pam Boston. Pam Boston began her time at Barrows in December of 1999. She has had a tremendous impact on all of her Boston Terriers, which is the name she gives her students. Pam is known for running student council, producing plays and musicals, teaching knitting to her students, and so much more. Pam was such a strong team member and always embraced new teachers with her welcoming personality. Pam is already missed at Barrows as she left us in January. Pam is already enjoying her retirement. Phyllis Green at Joshua Eaton. 17 years as an educator of children and 10 years as an educator for graduate students. Mrs. Green worked in Joshua Eaton's LEAD program for 3.5 years. She was part of the collaborative team that was instrumental in updating the face of language-based instruction at JE. Congratulations to Phyllis. Marie Kiley. Marie Kiley has been a teacher at Joshua Eaton for 32 years. She is a second grade teacher and her classroom is fondly known as the Lobsters. Mrs. Kiley is often loved by her students for her rewards of sea glass that the students would collect. John Laracy. John came to Barrows in 2001. He has made a difference in the lives of hundreds of children through his love of reading, his sense of humor, and his ability to build a rapport with his class. John models high expectations, and he always makes a one-to-one connection with his students. John will be missed going into next year, and we wish him well in retirement. Diane Davis, Parker Middle School. Congratulations to Diane Davis on her retirement. She has worked in the Reading Public Schools, most recently at Parker Middle School for 24 years. Her love of teaching and inspiring students through the arts has been incredible. Diane fostered creativity and overall interest in art with her flexibility in supporting all learners. So many students over the years found solace in her art class, and for some students, Mrs. Davis's art class was the reason that they came to school. Mrs. Davis had a tremendous impact on students and will be remembered for years to come. On behalf of the Parker Middle School community and Reading Public Schools, we wish Mrs. Davis the best in her retirement and lots of time with her grandchild. Mary Sage at Rise. Mary started as a long-term substitute in the ILP program, which is now called SAIL. She's been a paraprofessional at Wood End and Birch Meadow for 10 years. Joanne King, her principal, encouraged her to become a teacher. She taught for the last 6 years as an integrated preschool teacher at Rise and is always willing to move to different buildings while a Rise teacher and has been extremely helpful this last school year with our evaluations. Congratulations to Mary. And Connie Quackenbush. Congratulations to Connie Quackenbush on her retirement. She has been a middle school science teacher at Parker Middle School for 16 years. Her passion and commitment to young children and their families has been most evident in her continuous professional learning and daily engaging lessons. There is never a dull moment in her class. Students will forever remember all of the exciting activities, including but not limited to the human graph, density tank, in those days when someone else showed up to teach, which was actually Mrs. Quackenbush in disguise. Connie's commitment to students extended beyond the school day to before school, after school, and during her lunch. She gave her all and more to her students, colleagues, and families every day. Connie has touched the lives of so many students and colleagues during her time at Parker. And on behalf of the Parker community, we wish Mrs. Quackenbush health and happiness in the next chapter of her life. So those are the teachers. We're going to move on now to the staff retirements. We did give accolades to Linda when she did leave in January, but we want to again acknowledge her retirement. And most recently, Linda is now a grandmother, and there was a addition to the family recently last week. Kara is actually a teacher at Barrows Elementary School, and everyone is doing fine. Bob Dean. Bob Dean is a custodian at Parker Middle School. Bob has been a night custodian there for 6 years. He's always been proud of his hard work and has built so many relationships with staff. Bob's friendly, positive, willing to help attitude will be greatly missed. And on behalf of the Parker community, we wish Bob good health and lots of time with his grandchildren who adore him. Dan Lassise. Dan Lassise is also a custodian. Dan retired as the afternoon custodian at Barrows on June 4th after 20 years of service to the Reading Public Schools. He always took pride in his work, and he would do anything that he was asked. Dan was always smiling and helping everyone, and we know he's looking forward to fishing and spending time with his grandchildren. Kenny Hughes. Kenny has retired in November as the custodian at Wood End. Kenny had been there for 15 years, always had a smile on his face, always told great jokes, and did a great job keeping his building clean. We wish Kenny the best of luck in his retirement. Cindy Goodwin. Cindy Goodwin was a cafeteria manager at Birch Meadow and a cafeteria worker at Joshua Eaton. Always did a great job in both of those positions, and we wish Cindy the best of luck in her retirement. Liz Ullman. Actually, we're going to do Liz Ullman and Janet Williams together. Liz Ullman and Janet Williams retired from the Reading Public Schools after many years of service and support to our kids. They were tutors at the Wood End Elementary School. They always did what was in the best interest of students, and we are certainly going to miss them. Lisa Thomas. Lisa Thomas began working at Reading Memorial High School in 2001 as a learning center paraeducator. Students and staff viewed Lisa as an approachable, caring paraeducator who was able to connect with everyone she worked with. In 2014, Lisa's role changed to become a general education paraeducator and special education office administrative assistant. In this role, Lisa worked closely with the high school team chairpersons with scheduling, managing paperwork, and ensuring IEP timelines were met. During her time with the Reading Public Schools, Lisa was the consummate professional. She will be sorely missed by all members of the RMHS staff, and we wish her the best of luck in retirement, spending time with her family and 3 grandchildren. And last but certainly not least, Jerry Donahue. Jerry Donahue is an amazing person who has contributed tirelessly to school nutrition over the past decade. She is extremely skilled at her position and goes above and beyond to ensure that our staff is well supported, students well nourished, and everything in between. She is organized and flexible, always anticipating what needs to be done and going above and beyond. Jerry has done it all in her professional career. She is the effervescent voice who cheerfully answers the phone while jumping on the line to serve pizza while affectionately referring to each student as Hun. Her friendly, positive personality makes everyone feel positive, and her humor is infectious. Her loving connection to our community is far and wide, from athletics to the Rotary Club. She is a kind person who is never too busy to mentor or offer guidance from her wealth of experience. Although this was written by Danielle Collins. I have known Jerry for only a short period of her tenure, but can say without hesitation that she is awesome. She is a one-of-a-kind, great person who is cherished by all and will be dearly missed. Each day, she's brought kindness and laughter to our team, and we will all miss her sunshine. I am grateful to have been a recipient of her light and am filled with gratitude for her exemplary contributions to our program. So that's all right.
Thank you, John, and thank you to the principals for providing the background on all the retirees, and most importantly, thank you to the retirees for all of the service and great work they did on behalf of our students. We really appreciate it and thank them sincerely. And also congratulations and best of luck to the all the different teachers and staff who reach milestones, and we hope they'll be here for the next one. So thanks, and thanks, John, for
Welcome.
this isn't the same as doing it in person, but
Very true.
no, I appreciate it. So, and we do appreciate all those individuals. Okay, anybody from the committee have anything, or?
I think you spoke for us, Chuck, so thank you.
So I see we're having some trouble getting Laura Noonan in. So I also saw Jeff was working on a workaround. So if he needs time to do that, we can take the other things out of order and come back to the CPAC presentation if the committee desires that, or I don't, if someone else from staff can present those slides. What do people think?
I mean,
John or Aaron or Tom, or yeah. Go ahead.
I think what Jeff is saying is unfortunately he's not able to add her to the event as it's live already. So it sounds like she will not be able to join the meeting this evening, which is unfortunate. And I don't think we should cover it without her personally. I mean, I can, Aaron probably can as well, but I don't think that's in the best interest of CPAC to have us speak for them as the board that they are.
So I respect that. That's why I, asked the committee first. Sean?
Jeff, is it out of the realm of possibility for us to take a recess and create a new live event? Would that be possible? We could take a recess and send everybody a new live event. Sounds like that's the issue, is that we're already live.
Looks like Jeff's trying to create an RPS account for her now.
Yeah, I think
when she has an internal account, she'd be able to join. So maybe to Chuck, to that point, we can take things out of order as you're suggesting. And then maybe towards the end, depending on what it takes, she can get in.
So why don't we go to the budget transfers, Gail, sorry, first, and we'll then dive into the policy, and then we'll see where we are with Laura at that point.
Great.
So Gail, you're on.
I'm on. Good thing I was paying attention, Chuck. So included in the packet tonight is a brief memo similar to what we have done in the past couple of years. What we're asking for the school committee is approval to allow us up to a maximum number to transfer funds amongst the cost centers as we are going through and finalizing all of the year-end payroll, encumbrances, and purchases. What this will allow us to do is make sure that funds are not trapped within a cost center that could be utilized elsewhere. So we are going through, right now we're working through all of our final transportation invoices, out of district placements, as well as all of our other encumbrances across the district. So what we have here are some items that we're pretty confident that we'll be able to free up as we're going through this. And just to give a little bit of backdrop, as we talked about, this was similar to how last year ended up quite a different year in terms of where we were when we did the budget. It seems like forever ago. We did this budget pre-pandemic. So at the time we developed this budget, it was well sort of before the pandemic had occurred. So since then, as you know, we've had a lot of changes within transportation, especially within athletics, as far as not running the buses until the past month for the final sports season. We've also had a lot of openings throughout the district that we've talked about throughout the year. We also have not had as many substitutes based upon being remote than hybrid, and even now that we're back full in person, we have not had a lot of substitutes. So as we go through, we've been redeploying the pockets that we have to best position the district going forward. We've done, as we've talked about, and we'll talk about more at next week's meeting, we've spent the last month or so really going through our curriculum, lining up those purchases. We've done a lot within the athletics department as far as uniforms. We've worked with extracurricular to purchase replacement instruments that we have not been able to do. We've also worked very closely with the facilities department to make sure a lot of our aging radios and equipment are also being looked at and purchased. So what we would like to do is have the committee approve these upper limits for transfers that would allow us to position ourselves well over the next couple of weeks to finalize our purchases as well as any prepayments that we're making. And if there were any adjustments, we would be able to come back next week and address that with the committee as well.
Okay, thank you, Gail. So we'll have a motion first and then open it up to discussion.
So move to authorize that the chief financial officer make the following cost center transfers pending final review of all payroll entries, encumbrances, and expenses to allow us to finalize our technology, extracurricular, athletics, custodial purchases, as well as to finalize curriculum orders. Transfer up to $12,000 from administration to school facilities, utilizing salary savings and expense savings to be utilized to purchase additional custodian equipment. Transfer up to $150,000 out of the district-wide to school facilities, $120,000, and regular education, $30,000. Transfer up to $1 million out of special education to regular education.
Second. Chuck, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Seconded by Sean. Now open it up to committee. Have any questions? Gail? Sean?
Yeah, Gail, could you just clarify what you were just saying? If there's any updates, we'll come back on Monday. Are you suggesting if there are any updates to sort of the ceiling that you're asking for, or do you think we'll have tangible transfers to discuss on Monday?
I don't anticipate that we would, but it does give us that one extra week in case there, at this point, we've really been scrubbing everything. I think at that point, if there were items where we weren't going to transfer, I could also give an update and say we reallocated it within the cost center. It's just, this is actually a little bit earlier than we had done it last year, which is positive that we've been able to get as much accomplished.
Okay, thank you.
Sean, we're going to give you, next week, we're going to give you a little bit more detail as to what we are purchasing.
Carla?
Aye.
Oh, I saw you typing in the chat. I didn't know it was about the other thing. Sorry.
Okay.
And Sean, just to close the loop, I will also most likely in July be giving you a much more detailed update on all of the revolving accounts. We're actually still getting a lot of the fees in, but all of the offsets that we had already talked about, we're very comfortable with. I just did a whole bunch of deposits today, so we're still running those numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Sean, Tom?
Just a note from a public comment perspective that's aligned to this. Jeffrey Quorum Ridge Road, the cost center transfers are not in the packet that I just downloaded at 7:30 p.m. I think that's because it was late edition, but it has been on the agenda as an approval from an agenda perspective, which is our requirement.
Yeah, he is correct. It was on the agenda. Anybody else? Okay, ready for the vote. Sean?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Carla?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Chuck? Aye. Thank you, Gail.
Great, thank you.
Okay. With the policy for the next item, the green policy. So the Board of Selectmen hasn't voted on this yet, correct?
That's correct, but they don't meet again till June 29th, is my understanding. And this needs to be done by June 30th. And
Right.
because this is a policy, the school committee needs to do 2 readings.
Right.
Now, the other piece, which I did some research this afternoon, and I could not find a place where this could fit in your policy book. But I think as we've heard from Colby in the past, belts and suspenders, I think you should do 2 readings.
Yes. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve the first reading of the green vehicle policy.
Is there a second? Sean,
Wait,
Well, we have to read it.
we have to read
At
it and
least
discuss
pretend to
it.
read it.
do that every time, I'm sorry.
I'll move to waive the first reading.
I will second that as well.
Okay, we're ready for that vote. Sean,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Carla,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Chuck, aye. Okay. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Okay, does anybody have any comments on it? Tom?
So, John, I acknowledge your point about the policy numbering, and I was trying to look at that myself as well. And I felt like this should fit somewhere in the DJ categorization, which is
Yeah.
purchasing, right? So maybe DJF or something along those lines. But part of my question to that is, if we change this policy, what does that impact? Because there are other things I'd like to change in this policy. And would our finalized version be the one the select board signs off on? Or
No,
would there be a
it-
generic one?
It's actually the other way around. This is the policy that has been recommended by Green Vehicles. The presentation that we saw at the select board meeting. We actually you can't change this policy. This is in accordance to the law, is my understanding.
My understanding from that conversation was this was a recommended skeleton type policy that could be changed to fit local ordinance requirements. My changes are minor. I don't expect it would be a problem, but that's what I heard in that meeting, is that the lady that was presenting mentioned this was a kind of a template policy. And maybe
So
we can
I-
suggest some changes and then we can take it away with Bob, whether we actually can make changes or not.
So I did receive this from the presenter, Megan Akey. This is what she gave me and said, this is what we should be approving.
Okay. I guess my point is very minor, and I would expect that they would accept it. All the high vehicles that they mention fire trucks, ambulances, etc. Our big one is a bus, and it's not in that list. It's a minor thing. The answer can be no, you can't do that. But our big one that should be exempt from this policy is our bus. And it would seem silly that we would not allow a minor change to a policy like this to acknowledge buses as being over the certain gross weight and being exemptions appropriately, especially when they want both school and town approval. So in particular, the exemption section, it says heavy duty vehicles, examples include. It is examples, so they can argue that it's not relevant. You don't need to do that. But to me, every other example in that list is not school related, and they're asking for our approval. So I would think the one case that we have that has a high, weight vehicle should be approved as an exemption. And when we asked at that meeting, I specifically asked that question, and she said buses would be included. So I would think it shouldn't be hard to add buses to this language.
Tom, where do you see in the document that says examples? I see it under.
Can you see what I've
five?
got on the screen or no?
Yeah, right there on the screen, Chuck, it says exemptions. Heavy duty vehicles. Examples include fire trucks, ambulances, and some public work trucks. So we don't have fire trucks. We don't have ambulances. Arguably, we may have a public work truck that meets that, but it's probably more the town that actually has that cost than us. But what we do have is a bus. And that bus is actually missing from the inventory of vehicles as well.
Well, it could say heavy duty vehicles, examples could include. That way, if it's not listed there, it doesn't mean it's not included, right?
Yeah, and arguably you don't need to even do this. I was just, again, if they're asking for school approval, then the school vehicle should be, I'm being pedantic a little bit, but they're asking for us to approve a policy. I would like to make sure our one vehicle that fits that category is included.
I can certainly go back and have a conversation with Megan Akey this week in between readings.
Thank you, John.
Chuck, if I may.
Yes, Sean.
So John, I was looking to see, or Dr. Doherty, I was looking to see if this is articulated in the Green Communities Initiative as a model policy or required policy, and it is a model policy. And the version that they have online actually specifies anything with a gross vehicle weight rating of more than 8,500 pounds, which certainly our buses would fit there. So I think this is the beauty of doing a first reading and a second reading. So if you're going to confirm that with her, I think we'll be in a good spot. But I actually do agree with Tom's ad that we should probably, sort of cover our bases, that we don't have an issue there, because it might be difficult to get to that. Might be difficult to get to the fuel economy requirements with a bus that probably gets like 8 miles to the gallon.
Thank you, Sean. Carla?
Dr. Doherty, can you explain how many other types of vehicles, or how many other vehicles do we have as a district?
We have correct me if I'm wrong, Gail, we have a food service van, the bus, and a driver's ed car.
And the courier.
Oh, the courier, that's right, thank you.
So that was going to be my other point, is that the policy does not actually include the appendix. We don't see that in here about what's listed already. And that appendix at the meeting on June 1st only had 2 vehicles for us, the 2 smaller ones. It did not have the van documented. It did not have the bus documented.
John, can you ask them that as well?
Yes, I will.
I mean, they've got to dot their I's and cross their T's if they want us to do this. Carla, did you have your?
No.
Sarah.
Along those lines of thinking, do we know if the vehicles we do have do meet the requirements for the miles per gallon?
That was part of the presentation on June 1st, so I don't have that level of specificity on the.
I was just curious. I did look them up, and I'm not sure the van, things like that would meet them.
My understanding is this only applies to future purchases and replacements, though, right?
Correct.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If I recall correctly, Sarah, the 2 smaller vehicles did meet the standard.
Yeah, it's the bigger one.
As it stands, but it's the van and the bus that don't,
Yeah,
and then
sure,
the van may not fit the heavy duty vehicle definition.
Yeah, and the future van, I'm not sure would meet the MPG requirement either, so maybe something to think about.
Anybody else? Okay. So it looks like Laura is now in. Did we get her in?
I don't see her.
It said she temporarily joined the chat. Chuck, do we need to vote to accept the first reading?
Yes.
Before we move
Yes.
on?
Thank you, Sean. Sean,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Carla,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Chuck, aye. Okay, so now we're back to the CPAC presentation, and we don't, it looks like Laura joined, but someone needs to confirm that, I guess.
Perhaps if we can't confirm shortly, we might jump to the spring update, then come back.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to that.
Yep.
Yeah, John, do you want to do the spring update?
Sure.
Oh, wait, there she's typing now. Somehow she's commenting. But let's do the spring update. We'll figure out the connectivity, I think. Chuck, if that's okay with you.
Yep. John?
Yep. I'm just trying to.
Okay, let's do the CPAC presentation. It looks like Laura is here.
She is. Okay.
Laura, can you take yourself off mute?
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
There we go. Winner.
Hi.
All right.
I sincerely apologize for this, and thank you for your persistence in trying to get this worked out with us and indulging us and giving us more time. So we appreciate that.
Took me a full 58 minutes to get in, but I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for us to make this presentation to the school committee. CPAC works hard to continue to be a relevant resource for all parents of children receiving special education services in Reading, and we appreciate having the opportunity to share our accomplishments for the year with the school committee and everybody who's watching. For those that don't know, CPAC stands for Special Education Parent Advisory Council. There are 3 of us members of the executive board this year. I am Laura Noonan. There's also Alyssa Scaparati and Amy Stewart. When we're done with this presentation, I believe at some point these slides will be posted to the CPAC website for anybody that wants to catch it later. I'm not presenting, so I'm just gonna say next slide, and Dr. Doherty's gonna have to move it along for me. So this is the 2020-2021 year in review for CPAC. Next slide. The school year for CPAC started over the summer. Board members participated on a rotating basis with weekly check-in meetings with the central office staff regarding the reopening plans. The district was busy with the reopening plans and ever-changing guidance from DESE pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the district not only wanted to keep in regular contact with the CPAC board about the reopening plans, but also invited a member of our board to participate on the various committees, which is just one example of the truly collaborative, great working relationship that CPAC has built with the district over the past 2 years that we have been the board. Also, over the summer, we had multiple informal outdoor social gatherings held at then board member Maria Morgan's residence. So we were pretty busy over the summer to start. Next slide. September 2020, a business meeting focused on the progress of the special education program descriptions that were still being drafted at that time. Team chair staffing changes, professional development on reading, which is the process of reading and reading instruction. We also set short-term and long-term goals at that meeting for the CPAC. These goals were set by all that were present at that first meeting, which means parents' involvement, not just the board. And out of the 7 goals that you see there that were set for the year, the only one that was not achieved was establishing CPAC school liaisons. So that was pretty good. that we were able to meet almost everything that we set out right at the front of the year. We also discussed opportunities for parent engagement, and on September 29th at 10 in the morning and at 8 p.m., there were 2 virtual social events designed for parent support and discussions. These events had pretty low attendance. We tried a few times for the virtual events, but they didn't really catch on for the social ones. Next slide. CPAC collaborated in October of 2020 with Andover and North Andover CPACs to make available all 3 basic right presentations to the 3 communities. Usually every year the CPAC will put on 1 basic rights presentation, of which there's 3 to choose from, but we worked with Andover and North Andover, and we were able to offer our communities all of the basic right presentations happening over a short period of time. So in early October, we hosted the evaluation and eligibility workshop. Andover on October 29th did understanding the IEP, and North Andover on November 2nd did transition planning. They were all virtual, but everyone could attend all of them. In addition to these, we also had our regular CPAC business meeting that month, which focused on board elections and creating a Friends of the CPAC. Friends of the CPAC was new this year, and they were very helpful to the board, taking care of smaller specific tasks. And in the spirit of many hands make light work, I really encourage parents looking to get involved, but without a lot of responsibility, to volunteer to help out with the Friends of CPAC. We can always use help with different things that are going on. Also in October of 2020, we had a planning discussion about a future series of presentations for literacy and reading instruction. The result of that discussion was the creation of CPAC's Reading and Literacy Subcommittee, and the subcommittee is led by Chair Alyssa Scaparrotti, who is a CPAC board member. Next slide. Brings us to November. In November, we hosted a virtual support chat, but it had extremely low attendance, and after that, we didn't do any more virtual social or support opportunities. We also had our regular CPAC business meeting, which focused on a Bureau of Special Education Appeals, known as the BSEA, presentation on facilitated team meetings and mediation services. This was the first time we hosted a presentation like this, and it's a presentation that's worth hosting again. It's so important for parents to know all the various options that are available to them when it comes to dispute resolution, not just hearings. All the information provided in this presentation was just fantastic. And for instance, I, for one, did not realize that facilitated team meetings was even a service that was provided by the BSEA. So it just goes to show that every time you attend a CPAC presentation, you will learn something new. Next slide. Brings us to December of 2020, and in December, CPAC business meeting focused on the new special education program descriptions, which were presented and discussed in detail. The information pertaining to these new program descriptions can be found on the Student Services website. And I just want to say one thing about those program descriptions. When Dr. Stiles was first brought on to work with the Reading Public Schools, she came to a CPAC meeting even before she officially started in her role, and she asked the CPAC if there was anything that we wished for her to prioritize. And we had told her that we were hoping that she could work on rewriting carefully thought out special education program descriptions, that we were looking for entrance and exit criteria, that all of the names, Crossroads, Compass, Connections, they were confusing, and if she could rework them. And it's just another example of how the district is really listening to the CPAC and has a true willingness to work with us in the students' best interest when everyone works together. And that's really been demonstrated over these past couple of years. Next slide. In January, of course, was the superintendent search, and I'm happy to report that CPAC participated by having a board member serve on the screening committee. The CPAC business meeting that month focused on an update from then Director of Student Services, Dr. Jennifer Stiles, who is now, of course, the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services, reporting on the department's 5-year plan. Also, CPAC solicited ideas from parents for future presentations, and we were able to host presentations on 3 out of 5 of those ideas by the end of the year. The 3 that we were able to do was a presentation on how to read and understand progress reports, available resources outside of the Reading community, and also a presentation on how to understand DESE's resource guide to the math mass curriculum frameworks for students with disabilities. We had parent discussions following these presentations, and all of our presentations this year were highly attended, so that was really great to see. Next slide. Unfortunately, our February business meeting was canceled due to the superintendent finalist interviews, but it couldn't be avoided. What are you going to do? Next slide brings us to March. With March came more presentations, and the CPAC business meeting focused on presentations on local family support services and resources. Guest speakers for that month included Alice Gomez, a psychologist at Reading Public Schools, Terry Farrell from the Autism Insurance Resource Center Project, and Andrea Pasicantilli from the Mobile Crisis Intervention Program Manager, Elliott Community Human Services. These were very informative, very detailed presentations, really great and highly attended. CPAC's also in March, CPAC's Reading Literacy Subcommittee announced the first reading training for March 23rd, the 5 essential components of reading in Scarborough's reading room. Next slide. The next month, we had district updates shared by Dr. Jennifer Tsai, the Assistant Superintendent. Informing parents that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts released dyslexia guidelines, creating a general education summer program for students who are struggling with reading and possibly math, upcoming parent trainings about social and emotional topics, including mindfulness, coping with student anxiety, and ESY dates were announced. Also, we had a presentation by Team Chair Kelly Decato on the DESE Resource Guide to the Mass Curriculum Framework for Students with Disabilities. The next slide, if April continued. We had a presentation by CPAC members Amy Stewart and Tim Nisarino on the local regional community resources, providing family education, advocacy, recreational opportunities, summer camps, just everything that could be out there for parents who are parenting disabled children. CPAC parents, also CPAC parents who are members of the Friends of CPAC, at this point were able to discuss some of the solicited feedback that they received from families on topics for future meetings. It's been so great to see more parents getting involved this year and helping out with CPAC. It's really a great community of helpers that we have here. Also this month, we had some feedback from CPAC to the district pertaining to a recent BCBA turnover transition. CPAC brought to the attention this month to the district that during a recent staffing transition, a number of parents hadn't been advised the last date of employment for an outgoing BCBA and the new start date of employment for the incoming BCBA. And the discussion that was had at that CPAC meeting led to an updated procedure pertaining to parent communication and notification for such service provider transition. This is an excellent example of the swift action taken by the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Size, as well as the Director of Special Education, Allison Wright, in response to a concern raised by CPAC. CPAC values and appreciates the collaborative relationship that's been built with the district. Next one. May, this brings us to May. First, with May came more district updates and another useful, informative presentation. The district updates included, but were not limited to, announcements for upcoming presentations, such as the presentation regarding the new dyslexia guidance and upcoming social emotional learning presentations. Also, procedural updates to the work in progress special education handbook were discussed. There was a presentation on how to read and understand progress reports given by district teachers and staff from various special education programs. Oh, you missed one. Go back. One more to June. Who's June? June was added after it was shared with you. That's okay. You can just pause right there, and I'll just let you know that in June of 2021, CPAC hosted a meet and greet for the new and incoming administrators to introduce themselves and respond to questions. In attendance were the incoming principal of Reading Memorial High School, Mr. Kevin Tracy, the incoming principal of the Joshua Eaton Elementary, Caitlin Shelbourne, the incoming superintendent for learning and teaching, Sarah Hardy, and of course the incoming superintendent for the Reading Public Schools, Dr. Thomas Milichowski. Unfortunately, it wasn't highly attended, but it was still great to hear from these administrators, and CPAC looks forward to seeing them at future meetings, and it was great that they were able to come out and indicate a willingness to get involved in the future. You can leave that slide up because that segues us into CPAC subcommittee for reading and literacy. This subcommittee was established in October of 2020 at a CPAC business meeting. It's chaired by CPAC board member Alyssa Scaparrotti, and other members include Erin Albert, Sarah McLaughlin, and Tom Weiss. It's partnered with Superintendent Dr. John Doherty, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Jennifer Sy, Assistant Superintendent Chris Kelly, and Director of Special Education Allison Wright. It focused on reading and literacy as it pertains to the identification and education of students with disabilities in reading and writing. It expanded to include the process of learning to read, as supported by years of scientific research and legislation. It was meant to educate parents on these processes. If you go to the next slide, we have a timeline. You can see that kicked off in November of 2020. There was a survey was created to discover what parents were interested in learning about. Flyers were designed and distributed, and the first of 3 reading trainings was held in March and covered Scarborough's Reading Road and the 5 essential components of learning to read. It was recorded and is available to view on the Student Services website. The children book/podcast resource list includes books for adults on learning to read and also children's books explaining or including characters with dyslexia. There are also a variety of podcasts about learning to read included. The resource list will be available on the RPS Student Services and Learning and Teaching website. The next slide starts with our questions. Question 1 was reading and writing areas of interest. This question was to select all topics that interested the respondent. The topic of most interest had 45 respondents was 5 essential components of reading, and this topic was presented in March during the first reading training. The second highest ranked topic is general education curricula and tools used to support reading and writing with 41 respondents, while special ed curricula and tools was a close third with 37 respondents. Next slide is questions 2 to 4. Question 2 was to pick the reading and writing topic that most interested the respondent. The top response, how to support a reader at home in early elementary, was not a surprise. However, the second highest ranked topic was a surprise because it's about early warning signs of struggling writers. This topic could cover occupational therapy needs with fine motor skills needed for the physical act of writing, or could include things like spelling and sentence structure. Third topic of interest was curricula and tools used in general education to support reading and writing. Question 3 asked respondents which grade levels they wanted to learn about, and most respondents selected elementary school, with 44 respondents choosing early elementary and 26 respondents choosing upper elementary. Question 4 asked respondents how they prefer to view trainings, and most respondents were interested in a recorded presentation that can be viewed at any time on the internet and or an interactive presentation in Zoom. And so in response to this, the trainings will be recorded and made available on the Student Services website for viewing at parents' convenience. The next slide is question 5. And question 5 was open-ended and allowed the respondent to type in a response about other topics related to reading and writing that they are interested in learning more about. The responses varied and no themes emerged. The next slide, this last question, was open-ended and allowed the respondent to type in a response about any area that interested them. Multiple people are interested in learning more about executive functioning supports and assistive technology. The answers to this question will be passed on to the CPAC members completing a general survey to be included in the discussion of potential trainings that the general CPAC might pursue for the 2021-22 school year. The next slide is the flyer for the first training, the many strands of collaboration that are woven into skilled reading, and that presentation was, of course, on March 23rd. The next slide, understanding reading strand by strand. The presenters were Shana Goldwyn and Renee Lamero. They did a phenomenal job with this presentation. They're extremely knowledgeable and put a lot of time and effort into the lengthy training. The next slide, here we have the flyer for the upcoming parent training, which is happening tomorrow, June 15th at 7 p.m. And the next slide here is understanding reading strand by strand. The second training is scheduled for June 15th, and it's entitled Understanding the Process of Assessing for Reading Disabilities. Shana Goldwyn and Renee Lamaro will present along with Ariana Musselman, who is a teacher in the LEAD, formerly Bridge program at Parker Middle School. The key topics are understanding the referral process, understanding reading assessments for specific constructs / assessment sensitivity, using reading assessment data to drive instruction/progress monitoring, and the Crafting Minds Special Education Graphic Organizer for assessment results. Dr. Jennifer Stiles, Allison Wright, Renee Lamaro, Shana Goldwyn, and Ariana Musselman have really done so much work getting these presentations together and have been such a tremendous support to the subcommittee. So CPAC really thanks them a lot for all that they do. And that's wrap. As you can see, CPAC had a great year. Thank you for letting us share it all with you.
Thank you, Laura. I mean, the Reading community should be very proud and feel very fortunate to have such an engaged CPAC. I mean, it's such an important and critical thing to have, and for the to be able to support our students and families. So thank you to you and all of the CPAC members. It's, you know, I've been here for a while, and this is as engaged a CPAC and positive CPAC as I've seen. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Nice to hear. Thanks for having me.
Did anyone else have anything? Sean.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, Chuck. So I'll just echo Laura. I'll echo Chuck's thanks, and I'll make a plug. I had the opportunity to attend that first session, the understanding reading session, and as somebody who doesn't have kind of personal experience in this space, I found it just fascinating. Right, like it was really helpful to learn what everything that was shared there. So I'll just make a plug for folks that even if you don't have a particular sort of personal interest in the topic, I think you'll learn a lot if you're able to join. The second one's tomorrow, right? And then a third session TBD. So would certainly encourage folks to take CPAC up on that opportunity for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your patience with the technology.
Don't worry about it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye, Laura.
Good night.
Hey, Laura, thank you.
Thank you to Jeff and Andy too for figuring that out for us. So. Dr. Doherty, the spring update.
Yes, give me a second because I just. Okay. Spring update. As I have the last few times, several times, do a health and safety update. We're focused more now on the vaccination part of it, but I'll show a little bit of data. You can see that our numbers have been pretty low. We did have a couple of cases a few days ago, but nothing major. We had one positive case at Coolidge, no close contacts. That was through pool testing, and one positive case at Birch Meadow, no close contacts. This is the cases as of 5/27/2021. Pretty much has not changed much since recently because we've had such low numbers with our students. This is our last week was our last week of pool testing. So you could see that since we began this in February, we've had close to 3,000 tests, 24 positive results. The one positive test this month was last week. Again, I just want to thank Mary Juliana, the school nurses, for the amazing job that they did with this this year. When we first started talking about this in, I think, January, we didn't know if we could pull this off, but through the diligence of the nursing staff to work with the testing company and to have a consistent testing company of staff coming through, it really became a routine. And obviously, the fact that we had 24 tests shows that it was well worth the investment of time to make this happen. Vaccinations, we have had a total of 908 Reading Memorial High School students have now received at least one dose. We do have vaccine clinics later this week. That there are 150 students at high school, Coolidge and Parker. We did send in the update yesterday, the links for that. You can sign up if it's your first shot or your second shot. So it doesn't matter. If you sign up for your first shot, you will need to get a second shot somewhere else 3 weeks from now. But you certainly can sign up as a first shot if need be. So I'm going to talk about a few other updates. Tomorrow, I believe this is still the case, is the last student service office hour for the remainder of the school year. If you would like to sign up, you would go onto the Doodle poll to talk to Dr. Stice and Allison Wright. I want to talk a little bit about summer programming and ESSER grants and the promotion ceremony. So with summer programming, in addition to ESY, we did receive an ASOS grant for early literacy for incoming K through 3. We have a few students that, excuse me, identified students that have signed up, and we are expanding that. We are basing that on the assessments that we have been giving during the school year. The thing that has been stopping us or slowing us down in offering more summer programming is staffing. And this is not just a Reading issue. This is really an issue that there was actually an article in Education Week this week about the fact that there is so many opportunities for summer programming this summer, but the staffing just is not there because teachers are just burned out and need a summer break. And we are finding the same thing. So I know we've been getting a lot of questions about why aren't you offering more summer programming? The fact of the matter is we just don't have the staffing, and our first priority was extended school year, which we have now pretty close to full staffing on. And we do have a larger than ordinary number of students that are signed up for that this year. And we felt that since that was our first priority, we had to fill those positions first, but there are not many other staff, both either inside the school district or outside the school district, that are applying for these positions. So that is why we're not offering a lot more than what we're going to be currently offering. In terms of the ESSER grants, we'll give you a more detailed presentation on ESSER grants next week. We've been working with building principals, Superintendent-elect Milichewski, and other staff in determining the most strategic way to spend our funding over the next couple of years for ESSER grants. So we will be presenting that to you next week so that the committee is aware of what that is going to be focused on for the next couple of years. And then promotion ceremonies this week, we have Coolidge at 4:30 and Parker at 6:30 this Thursday on the Hollingsworth Field in track. So we're hoping for a great evening like we had at graduation the other night, and to celebrate our promotion of our 8th grade students to high school. Some search updates. Some of these you've seen because we did fill those positions a while back. So Sarah Hardy, our assistant superintendent for learning and teaching, has been attending several meetings in the district. She was actually at one today we had an interview for a prospective candidate for Birch Meadow, and she was there. I'm pleased to announce that we have hired Michelle Roach as our new HR director. Michelle will be starting on July 20th. She will be coming from the private sector where she is in a similar role. Reading Memorial High School principal Kevin Tracy. Kevin has been meeting with both high school staff and central office staff a few times since he's been hired to get him up to speed on some of the areas. I know he's had a couple of site visits to the high school. The Birch Meadow principal, we reopened the search. We did have an interview of a prospective candidate today with the Birch Meadow Screening Committee. So we are in process with that search. Joshua Eaton, Caitlin Shelburne has also visited Joshua Eaton a couple of times and has met with both Principal Ippolito and central office staff, and will continue to do that. Parker Assistant Principal Jay Pelledge, who was hired a couple of months ago, and MECO Director, we are very, very close on. We are working out the details of a contract with a candidate. So we are getting extremely close on filling all of the open positions that were available. And future school committee dates, June 21st, next Monday, and then an executive session on the 24th.
So thank you, John.
I'm not.
Sorry, you're not done.
But if you want me to take questions now, I will.
All I just had a comment. I, like probably other members of the committee, have been at different graduation parties. I've heard nothing but very thanks and good comments about last Sunday. So I know, we already said it, but thank you to everybody that and Kate that put that together. I think it was a great day and very well received. So.
Thank you, Chuck. I will make sure that pass that along.
John, before you move on, and Chuck, if you're all right, there's some Q&A sections that are directly related to the previous slide, if now would be a good time.
Yep.
So first one is from Amanda Haley, Tennyson Road. Just wondering if there's an update on the Birch Meadow principal search, which was provided.
Okay.
The second one is Michelle Sanfie, 75 Glenmere Circle. She says, when it's appropriate during tonight's meeting, I would like to make the following comment. The decision to purposely exclude external candidates from submitting applications to the special education literacy coach position not only has limited the pool of applicants, does not seem to be in the best interest of our special needs students. In addition, the job description does not require a special education licensure or a minimum of 5 years of special education classroom teaching experience. Previous literacy coaching experience is preferred and not required. Why are we not reaching for the moon when the maximum starting salary is listed at $95,000? As a town meeting member, I not only supported and advocated for this position when I voted to approve the school budget, I have regrets in doing so. My regret in supporting the special education literacy coach position stems from the fact that the position isn't being filled as a result of a traditional search. And then one last one, Michelle Sanfie, Glenmere Circle. The emails I sent to the entire SC were not included in the packet. The DG school committee link doesn't always work. Please include all of my correspondences in the next packet so that they all become public record for the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like me to continue, Chuck?
Yes.
So really the thank you for this week, it goes to the staff of the Reading Public Schools. As you probably know, that this year has been a challenge with multiple potholes and hurdles that we've had to navigate through. It seems like every time we felt we had a routine going and we were in a groove, there was another curveball thrown at us. And I've said this many times throughout all of my updates and presentations, but this was a true total team effort this year, ranging from food service staff to central office administrators, custodians, to secretaries, to paraeducators, to teachers, technicians. This was a total true team effort and would not have happened the way it did without everyone working together. So I truly thank everyone who has been a part of this Reading Public School experience. This year, it hasn't always been a great experience because of everything we've had to go through, but I think at the end of the day, we can say on June 21st, we did everything we could to provide a safe and learning experience for our students. So thank you to everyone on that. And now moving to the student piece. So we had a very successful Special Olympics on Friday. It was the Reading version of Special Olympics. I want to give a special shout out to Tara Herlihy, who a couple months ago came to us and said that because Malden wasn't holding the regional Special Olympics, that she really wanted to coordinate and put together a Reading version of Special Olympics. And it was amazing. We had about 60 athletes there from 5 schools, and they participated in 3 track and field events. We also had several students who were helpers. The helpers were in the gray t-shirts along with staff, and the athletes were in red t-shirts. And it was just a great day. We had color guard provided by the Reading Police Department, and we thank the Reading Police Department and Chief Clark for being there and supporting our students. This was part of the processional around the track. You can see this is I believe this is Coolidge Middle School students holding the banner. And we had the tennis ball throw. We also had track and field events. And so again, it was a really exciting and successful day. It ended up with an award ceremony. So thank you again to all the staff and the parents and grandparents who attended and participated. It was a super day. As Chuck mentioned, graduation was a very successful day, our 2nd in a row on the field. Again, we were blessed with a beautiful night, nice little breeze. This is before it started getting hot the next 3 days. And it really was great. There's Mr. Wise and Mr. Robinson giving a diploma. But the entire ceremony was 90 minutes. And you could see that everyone was really in a celebratory mood and enjoying themselves. And congratulations to the graduates of 2021. And this was the processional going in. And then we shift to other school happenings. During the week, our school resource officers provided safety type training to different students. This is at Joshua Eaton. And they also, some of the students got to go into the police car and see what it was like to be in an official SRO vehicle. We also saw this at Barrows. This is Officer Vatcher. Notice the patch on Officer Vatcher's arm. That is an official Reading Police Department patch that celebrated the graduates of 2021. We also had Move Up Day today. So we had staff at different buildings. For 5th grade Move Up Day was done virtually. 8th grade Move Up Day was done in person at the high school. So this is a group of students watching the teachers. This looks like Coolidge teachers going over some of the pieces of what it's going to be like to be a grade 6 student next year. We also had field day activities have been going on all week. I believe this was at Barrows. Barrows held their fun run last week, as well as some field day activities. And you can see that this is a tradition. I want to also thank the Reading Police Department for being here for this part and all of the staff who helped run it and supervise it. This was kindergarten awards ceremony. This is Mrs. Forrestal. She's one of the kindergarten teachers doing an award ceremony for our kindergarten students. And I think that's it.
Great, thank you, John. Any questions from the committee? I bet you didn't ever expect that, John. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that includes tonight's business. unless anybody has anything else they'd like to ask or bring up. Other than that, I'd like to thank all the staff tonight, everyone that participated. So it was a good meeting. So if that's it, there's a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Aaron,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Carla,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Chuck, aye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Gail, Samantha, Jen.